Good morning, Mets fans, and happy Monday. Welcome to Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and the Mets yesterday closed out a series victory, their first in 2 weeks, and did so in very convincing fashion. But the series in San Diego wasn't without its ups and downs, and I'll talk about those today. And talk about the debut of Jason Vargas, the rather conspicuous debut of Jason Vargas, and a couple of comments made yesterday by Sandy Alderson about everybody's favorite whipping boy, Matt Harvey. Yesterday's win in San Diego capped off a 4-6 road trip. 4-6? I think that's right. It wasn't pretty. They lost two series. I guess it was 4-5. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They lost 2 series. They won yesterday. They lost in Atlanta, lost in St. Louis, and won in San Diego. And you know, the silver lining to it is that they could have won. Certainly could have won all 3 series. And poor performances abound are the result of are the end result of those losses, or the reason that those losses are losses. At the end of the day, though, the Mets did what they needed to do yesterday. After giving up 12 runs on Saturday, they scored 14 yesterday. So, talk about the sort of tale of 2 games. Yesterday's starting pitcher was Zach Wheeler. He was very good. Saturday's starting pitcher, making his Mets debut, or re-debut, was Jason Vargas. He was the opposite of very good. Yesterday's game, the Mets offense was outstanding, and on Saturday they were not. So, tale of 2 games. For everybody that's freaking out about Jason Vargas and saying, you know, let's release him, the dude's pitched like 3 2/3 innings this year. All right, so if again, I'm going to sort of go back to what I've been saying about unfairly judging pitchers by one performance. I get that they only pitch once a week, you know, as opposed to an everyday player who's in the field every day. But you know, what about the stretches where Jay Bruce doesn't hit? You know, where Jay Bruce goes 0 for whatever, 0 for 16. Should we release him after that? You know, should he be cut from the roster based on one bad performance or a stretch of bad performances? No, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Jason Vargas will be fine. He probably could have used an additional 1 or perhaps even 2 starts in AAA before he came up to make his return or debut for the Mets this season. But it is what it is. It's in the past. I do think he'll be fine. I think he'll pitch to a 4 ERA. He's got a lot of work to do to get there because not pretty giving up the runs he gave up in a short amount of time. His ERA is something like 27 or something. So, but you know, all it's going to take is 2 or 3 normal starts, and his ERA will be right down in the 4.5 range. And that's all the Mets need from Jason Vargas right now. They need him to be able to give them 6 innings, and you know, 3 to 4 runs allowed. He'll have some stinkers in there. He'll have some better performances in there. But generally speaking, the Mets need him to be an average pitcher who can take the ball every 5th day and give them length, because they're not getting that from anyone else in the rotation. Other question, or other topic rather, that came up over the weekend was the confirmation by Mickey Callaway that Jay Bruce will start taking some reps at first base. And you know, there's the old adage that, oh well, now that Adrian Gonzalez realizes that his job is in jeopardy, he's going to perform better. And look what he did yesterday. You know, Adrian Gonzalez had a breakout game yesterday. 5 RBIs, just missed his 2 home runs, just made solid contact all day. But that being said, I do not adhere to and never have adhered to the mantra that as soon as a guy finds out his job's in jeopardy, he's going to start doing better. I just think that's nonsense. You don't think that if it were possible for Adrian Gonzalez to be hitting 330 like he used to, that he'd be doing that every day? You don't think they'd want to do that? You know, have the opportunity to make more money by performing better as often as they can? No professional athlete wants to do badly. It just happens. You know, they regress, they get older, they lose a step, and baseball is a game of inches if there is one. And I mean, you lose an inch on, you know, a fraction of a second on your timing as a batter, and you're not going to be able to hit the ball, and that's it. I mean, your career is over. So, to make this comment that, well, good, Adrian Gonzalez now has something to motivate him, I just don't buy into that. I don't think major league athletes, professional athletes, need motivation like that to perform. But at the end of the day, the whole point to Jay Bruce playing first base is to get more at-bats for both Juan Lagares and Brandon Nimmo, both of whom are have performed very well over the first month of the season. And we can officially now say that the first month is over. The Mets do not play today, so they've finished April at 16-9, which again, any one of us would have signed up for that in a heartbeat. I'm sorry, not 16-9, 17-9. My bad. They were 16-9 going into yesterday's game. So again, any one of us would have signed up for that in a heartbeat. 8 games over 500. It's a great way to start the season. They've stumbled a bit as the month progressed. Let's see how things go in May. All right, but the point again I was making about Bruce is that he's going to play first base, even if it's just once a week, in an attempt to get some more playing time for Nimmo and Lagares. And it's worth noting also that Michael Conforto's batting average is terrible, but it was such a shock to hear that as of yesterday he has reached base successfully in every game he's played this year. So Conforto, as Keith has said, is going to be just fine. I don't know if it's a bad luck thing or his timing is still a little bit off, but he's certainly seeing the ball well because he's drawing a ton of walks. He's getting on base. He's doing what he needs to do to be a productive player. Batting average isn't where it needs to be or where he wants it to be, but it'll get there. So I'm not worried at all about Conforto. I am a little bit concerned about Cespedes. So Cespedes stole a base yesterday, stole 2 bases yesterday. I think the Mets stole 4 bases as a team yesterday, which is crazy. But in stealing third, he slid head first and jammed his thumb, came out of yesterday's game, and will probably miss tomorrow night's game, according to what he said after the game. He said, this sort of thing has happened to me before while I was in Oakland, and I missed 2 or 3 days. So I'm assuming that yesterday counts as a half a day, and today is another day. So we only have 1.5 days without Cespedes. So maybe he's not going to be in the lineup tomorrow, so he can nurse that thumb. Hopefully it's nothing serious. He can avoid going on the disabled list. That would be really terrible because he was just getting his timing straight. And it's just a bummer that if he does have to miss time, he's going to have to sort of get back on track when he returns. But again, jumping ahead and jumping to a conclusion there that we aren't quite certain of yet. So, final thing I want to talk about. I read this morning some comments by Sandy Alderson saying, I think Matt Harvey is over his poo-poo face about being demoted to the bullpen. I hope that's the case. And I hope that Matt Harvey is starting to accept the fact that this is his new reality and that he has to deal with it. But I appreciated what Sandy said because he's pretty much echoed my comments for the last 2 weeks, which was like, look, dude, this guy has had a really rough go of it. And Michelle Ayano made some good points on Mets blog and her comments and her thoughts. So she basically said, yes, we all get it, that he's had it rough, and he has, and nobody's taking that away from him or discounting that. But at the same time, that doesn't excuse the mental, the attitude that Harvey has, and was sort of Michelle's point, and I agree with that, and I've said as much last week. But I do hope that Harvey has turned over a new leaf, even if he's just faking it. Honestly, at this point, I don't even care if he's faking. I just want to see him look as though he is willing to do what it takes to help this team win. And frankly, as I said a couple days ago, if he's not, it's time to cut bait with Matt Harvey, because the last thing you need in a clubhouse is a downer, is someone who is going in the opposite direction of the rest of the team. This was another really good point that Michelle made in her comments, where she basically said, look, the rest of the team looks like they're all a team. They're all together. It's like there's 24 of them and there's one Matt Harvey. And again, I agree with her. I agree with everything she said. So if you haven't read it yet, go check it out on Mets blog. It's a good piece, and it's just a couple paragraphs and won't take long to read. So that's going to wrap it up for today. No game tonight, as I mentioned, so we have an off day. Mets will be back tomorrow, opening up the month of May at home against the surprisingly decent Atlanta Braves. We're a month into the season, and I'm starting to worry that the Braves might be for real. But, there is that little part of me that keeps saying, yeah, but they're doing a lot of this on the backs of rookies who There are no books out on these guys yet. And I keep sort of saying to myself, well, once the books come out, once the book gets out on Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies and these other kids that the Braves are running out there, their fortunes will change. But hey, who knows? Maybe that's not the case, and maybe the Braves are legit and for real, and they'll be there all season. So the Braves put up a couple of good spots against the Phillies, who are also playing better than expected. So so far, I'm a little bit concerned about the Braves. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. The good news, and I forgot about this, Steven Matz is hurt again. I guess it's not important because it's sort of like expected at this point, but the good news, what that leads to is that Matz will not pitch on Tuesday night. Instead, Syndergaard and DeGrom will start on normal rest Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's a boon for the Mets. They really should be able to take those two games, as we've talked about before. They've got to win those games that Noah and Jake start. So again, that's going to wrap it up for today. Sorry I was sort of all over the place and rambling, but that happens. It's Monday morning. What do you want from me? Thanks for watching. Appreciate it as always. Follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And as always, let's go Mets.